The Boston Red Sox lead on the Yankees is 3 games. Boston won a wild game in Baltimore, 10-8. Yankees get it done against the Twins. That could very well be a wild card preview, a team that they would face in early October at Yankee Stadium. Tyler Kepner, the well-regarded New York Times national baseball writer, as promised, joins us here on Big Board Sports at 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio in Albany. Tyler, Rodger Wyland, and Chris Honorado, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, Tyler. 12 games left in the regular season. Do you believe that the Boston Red Sox have enough to hold on and win the division, and the Yankees obviously get in as the wild card? Does that make the most sense at this point?
I think so. I mean, I could see, it's close enough to where I could see the Yankees overtaking them, but you'd have to give the lead right now to the team, the edge right now to the team with a three-game lead. Boston's got Cincinnati this weekend. They're not a great team. Obviously, they got to finish up the Baltimore series. They got a little tough test with Houston at the end, but you never know what position the Astros will be in, if they'll be resting guys or what. So, I'd give the edge to the Red Sox. But, the Yankees are playing really well, and it wouldn't shock me if they sneaked in there and won the division, too. What do you
like, Tyler, and don't like about this Yankee team in the final 13 games with the playoffs right around the corner?
Well, I love the bullpen. Betances obviously had his struggles last night. He's been struggling a little bit with control, but he's really good when he's on. And even if he's not, they've got just such a deep bullpen there with Chad Green and David Robertson. They can bring in those guys early in games. They've got a good enough rotation, I think, with Severino and Gray, Tanaka, and Sabathia, Garcia, whoever. You can remove those guys early and go to that great bullpen. So, and they got a lot of power. I mean, they're a very good team. They're going to be a tough out if they're in that wild card and get past it. So, Yankees have a lot going for them. They're playing really well, and Boston does too. They don't hit for as much power, but they've got a lot of threats in that order. They do put the ball in play. I worry a little bit about Boston's rotation, especially if they're playing Cleveland. With the way Cleveland hits Sale, although right now they're lined up to play the Astros. So, you never know. Anything can go any way in the postseason. But, I do think the Yankees are in good shape if they can get there.
Tyler, L.A. obviously is not out of this thing. They're a game and a half behind the Twins for that second wild card spot. But if we were to handicap it today with the Yankees and the Twins in those 2 wild card spots, how would you handicap the best odds for a team to win that pennant? So out of the 5 teams you're going to see in the American League, who do you like the most? Who do you like the least?
Well, Cleveland's the hottest, coming off that huge winning streak they had. And they did it last year. So I would probably have to say Cleveland. If we assume that Andrew Miller is who he was and he's, doesn't have any more of those knee problems, you got to love what they can throw at you out of the bullpen. And you add Carlos Carrasco to the mix. He wasn't there last postseason, and he's been great. So he can ride shotgun to Kluber at the top of that rotation, and they've got Encarnacion in there. If they get Brantley back, I mean, I think they're terrific. But I would not discount Houston too. It's not a huge edge for me over Houston. Houston's really good now that they've got Verlander. I think they can figure it out in the 3-4 spots. You'd like to see McCullers a little sturdier at this point. And that's probably why I would hold off on them just a bit. But they're really good. They have that rare combination of both power and the ability to put the ball in play, which I think makes them very, very dangerous. So they're a very close number 2. They can mix and match with anybody, and very dangerous up and down there with the Astros.
Tyler, Judge hits a home run that's number 44. Is he returning to first half form a little bit here, which would be scary if he is for the rest of the regular season and then into the postseason?
Yeah, it's the first half form was so good, it's going to be tough to match that. Really, probably for the rest of his career, for anybody to do that. That was extraordinary. But on the whole, I mean, sure, he strikes out a lot. He's set a Yankee record. He's going to have 200 strikeouts very soon. But he's starting to feel it opposite way last night, which is one of the great things about him. That it's not just like he's up there trying to yank everything. He knows that he's got opposite field power, and that Yankee Stadium rewards that. So he is he's doing a lot better than he was immediately after the break, and you're starting to see those results.
On the topic of home runs, Giancarlo Stanton hits number 55 last night. He's on record as saying 61 is the number he's always regarded as the all-time mark, the number to beat in terms of single-season home runs. Where do you stand, Tyler, on what the official number is in order to be the home run champ for a single season?
Oh, it's 73. I mean, that was Bonds' record. Bonds was eligible to play every day that season, and he did it. So those home runs happened, and I think we have to just understand the context of everything. If Stanton gets 62, then we can say, it's not the record, but it's the most in the testing era, for the era, the era when we were testing. And you could say Maris's 61 was amazing. It came in the first year after expansion when there were a lot of pitchers who wouldn't have been there the year before. Ruth's record was amazing when he had 60, but it was in a segregated league. So there's a but for everything. Maybe someday we'll find out that the balls this year were juiced. I mean, hitters are going to set an all-time record for home runs probably later tonight. That's going to happen. So it is a power era, and you have to take that in context. Just put context to everything. I think Bonds is the record. It did happen. They're not taking him back. He hit some homers off steroid pitchers, for sure. But Stanton's record will be the mark since they started steroid testing, and that means a lot.
We're talking with Tyler Kepner, New York Times national baseball writer here on Big Board Sports. Tyler, can I ask you about the Dodgers? They were so good all year. They were incredible, and I think they're still going to win that division, but they've really fallen on some tough times. Can they push the right button here and get back to the way they were playing and make a serious run at the World Series?
I think they can. I saw them over the weekend in Washington, and they felt really good about themselves. They felt as if they'd gotten through a really baffling stretch for them. I think when you look at it now, it's not too surprising. I mean, it's certainly surprising they didn't mix in a win or two in that stretch, but just the fact that they went through some struggles, that was maybe to be expected because they didn't pitch well. Their ERA by their starters, I think, in their 16 losses out of 17 was something like 7.11. I think I calculated it as. So they didn't pitch well, and when your starters give up 7 runs per 9, you're not going to win very very often. They also had Corey Seager out for some of that time, and Cody Bellinger out for a little bit of that time. So they weren't whole. Everybody has injury problems, but Seager and Bellinger matter so much to that lineup, and when you combine their absence or their being less than 100% with the rotation really falling apart there, that's what you get. So I think they're starting to pitch a little bit better. Their last time through the rotation was pretty good. Kershaw gave up a grand slam last night, but otherwise he's been good. Hill was good his last time, and same with Alex Wood and Yu Darvish. So those are some pretty big names there, and if they can sustain what they just did last week, I think they're going to be fine.
Tyler, last thing, I'll let you get out of here on this. The Mets, I have to ask an obligatory Capital Region Mets question here. What do you think they should or can do this offseason to try to get back into winning contention? Obviously, Matt Harvey gets rocked last night against the Marlins. What do you see the Mets doing this offseason?
Well, it's really tough because so much depends on whether those starters are healthy, and I don't know if you can trust them anymore. I think Harvey's past the point where you can feel good about what he's going to give you. I mean, you can keep trying if you want to pay him in arbitration and stuff, but you just don't know. And with Syndergaard as well, I mean, you figure he'll be fine, but he hasn't pitched since April, so who knows? So their team still really depends on them, but it's more than that, though. I mean, they need to diversify this offense too. It was a flawed sort of. I think it was a little bit of a flawed offensive blueprint to begin with, but they have lost a lot of power from it, and it's going to be really tricky. I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to rely on Smith and Rosario to step in immediately and be really good to have much of a chance. And I think they've got to get a little creative somehow on that offense. And I personally would love to see Lagares play every day because he's so good defensively, and that's a really important defensive spot. And he's under contract. but they just need to shore up the areas around him and make sure that those guys stay healthy. That's the bottom line, guys, is that if these guys don't stay healthy, if they get another year where Cespedes plays only half the year, I mean, Conforto has a bizarre injury, and all the pitchers go down, nothing's going to make a difference.
And look, Matt Harvey, not sure what the future is, but he got shelled, Tyler, last night. 7 earned, 12 hits, 4+. His ERA is 13-19 since returning from that 2.5 months that he spent in the DL.
Really, really ugly, yeah. You feel for him. I mean, he's not the kind of guy who's engendered a ton of sympathy because of some of the things he's done, the way he's carried himself. But look, I mean, he's a competitor, and we all know how good he was so very recently. And you do feel for someone like that because obviously he's trying. He's trying to come back. He's trying to be himself, and it's just not working physically for him. And it's tough because there was so much potential there, and he's still young. But that lightning that we saw in that arm, you got to question if it's ever going to come back.
Tyler, we really appreciate a few minutes. Enjoy your work, and we'll get back in touch sooner than later. But thanks for coming on Big Board Sports.
Okay, thanks. Have a great day.